You are now entering the box. All right, Fred. Welcome inside the box.
Thank you for having me.
What's happening?
Oh, I mean, we're busy, right? Like, it was definitely, you called me and asked me on your podcast, and I felt like I've made it now because I'm here on the
This is it. Is this the new definition of making it? That'd be nice to know.
In Springfield.
Well, good to see you, man.
You too, man. Appreciate it.
Since you didn't decide to not bring me cold ones.
I was in a hurry.
I'm just joking.
So.
These, don't you give these out though?
I do. Closings, we give them out of closings or referral partners.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
That's a good little closing gift. Custom beers here.
It makes us unique.
Yeah.
Right. So, like,
try to think of something to set yourself apart.
Yeah. We talked about that a lot, right? Like, how do you separate yourselves in a market that you're considered a commodity, right? So,
yeah.
Flat Branches, or at least the company that we're powered by, has really worked hard to create opportunities for us to be unique in our markets.
That's good. Yeah, for those that don't know, Fred here is with Capital Mortgage Team, powered by Flat Branch.
Yeah, founder.
How is that? Is it? It's not considered a franchise, right? What is?
No, so it's kind of like a real estate team. You'll see, like you work closely with like Jane Hay or like Deb Sarson. He's been here before too, and they have their own team. And then they'll have realtors that work on their team.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's like the real estate group and the teams underneath it. Okay.
So
interesting. Does that work pretty well though? You like the way it's set up and everything?
I think the reason why we're set up this way is that we are able to capitalize on what people are good at. Right. So I'm good at developing relationships, bringing in business. I'm not good at like keeping track of like documents and auditing stuff. So like I'm great at relationships, but we're gonna hire people to our strengths that are able to do some of that stuff. And we do. Ty and Cheyenne are like amazing. I couldn't have asked for better team members.
Yeah. How many people you got on your team now?
Well, we're looking at adding a 7th person.
Nice.
But we're at 6 right now. So I got a guy in Murfreesboro, my hometown.
Nice.
So we've opened an office there.
Oh, there you go.
Looking at hiring another loan officer.
How far away is that?
2 hours and 45 minutes.
South,
yeah.
Okay.
Barbecue capital of Illinois.
Nice.
People don't know that.
It's not near Paris, is it?
No, that's the other side of the state. That's
okay.
Or like Indiana border, I think.
Okay. We were just talking with someone from Ansar, and they do like a big event in Paris where it's like barbecue and tractor pulls and stuff.
That would be
it sounds
similar
awesome.
to what would take place in my hometown too, probably. So,
how long you guys been in business now? Like, so when did you start it?
So I came on to Flat Branch in September of 2019.
Okay.
And then Flat Branch has actually been around since 2005.
Gotcha.
So they're
2019, that was like good timing though.
That was great timing.
Yeah.
It worked out perfect. Like we can't you have that lull, right? When you change companies, because I was at another company before, to have that lull for 3 to 6 months, and then right as that 3 to 6 months hit, like I walked right into the pandemic, and my business took off.
Yeah. Was it like for a minute? Was it like scary at first? Like,
yeah,
because it was like because the real estate didn't go crazy till like partway through it, right?
It wasn't until the rates.
To think about it.
We went so what really started that was like the refinance boom, because like rates went from being in the 4s and 5s.
Oh yeah,
the 5s and 6s to like falling off the face of the planet to like the 2s.
That's crazy.
And it was like refinance me, and some people refinanced multiple times too during the pandemic because they had started to refinance early on and the rates got better.
I think people got spoiled by it.
Yeah,
You see a lot of people like wanting to hold off now.
Yeah, all the time, and I tell them that's like what is it that real like my favorite saying is marry the house, date the rate.
Yeah.
Another one is
that's a good one. So you can always refinance.
Always refinance in the future. Why would you pass on building generational wealth because of an interest rate on an appreciating asset that you know is going to be worth more than what you're paying for it now in the future, as long as you take care of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you don't take care of it and falls apart, that's on you. But if you're going to eventually use that to start your generational wealth plan, why would you not do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I remember I was talking to someone's parents, and they were like, yeah, there was a point where interest rates were like 12%. Yeah. And I was like, geez. It's 12%.
When I first started in home shopping, and the reason why I really enjoy this industry is I was laughed out of a bank one time.
Yeah.
I walked in, I'm like, I was young, and I just had our daughter. She's like 4 months old, and I sat across from a guy that's known me my whole life in my hometown, and he's like, you think you can buy a house? Yeah, I do. I was like, I just need to know what to do. And he's like, you're not buying a house.
Jesus. Was it just a bad credit score or what?
There was some other bad credit score, bad financial habits, not consistent income, things that attribute to what we try to teach financially, right? Like you adopt the habits of your parents or the person that's most important to you in your life, right? That's what you adopt financially. And I wish I would have picked a little bit better mentor at the time on who I listened to for financial habits, but it's but the interest rates at the time are like 8%.
Yeah.
So when someone who has a lower credit score and they're getting quoted a 7, I'm like, I had good credit and was quoted an 8.
Jeez.
Back when the economy was booming, right? Prior to the crash. So I think people are spoiled.
We lucked out with our house because we got into our house. Well, we bought it from my wife's uncle, and he gave us a pretty good deal on it. But it was when things were right before things got crazy.
Yeah. So you have a lot of appreciation. Last couple years.
and we did a lot of remodeling, and we got that done right before prices of everything went crazy.
So you have value.
Yeah. So one of the guys that I contracted to do the work, he was like, man, I saw him like I don't know, a year later or something, and he was just like, everything we did there would have literally cost you like 2 to 3 times as much right now. He's like, you guys got so lucky. I was like,
we did a bathroom remodel, and we had quoted it prior to the pandemic, and it was like $6,000, and then after the pandemic, it was like 14.
It's so crazy, man.
But we had to have it done. Like, I have a daughter that's 16, going to be 16, and she has to have a bathroom that is her own business, right? So any amount of money that I could have spent to make her a happier person in my household was worth it. So.
Then we'll be getting ready for school while you're in the shower next door.
Yeah. Like, you have a daughter, right?
Yeah. She's only 2 though, so not
14,
quite there.
14 years. Just wait till like the conversations that are had.
She's already getting an attitude too. Little 2-year-old girl.
I think mine was eye-opening when I was cooking breakfast on a Sunday morning. And I have the spread out, and she walks downstairs. And I'm like, "Hey, babe, good morning." She's like, "Is it a good morning?" And I literally questioned my whole life at that point.
Wait a minute, I don't know.
What's going on? She's like, and then I just look at her, and she's like, and walks off. All right.
How old were you when you had her?
I was 26.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. I'm 41 now, and she'll be 16 this year. So yeah, I was 26.
Nice.
I felt like I started really young, but in the grand scheme of things, I really wasn't.
Yeah, it's like medium, I would think.
So,
my first one was 34.
I will tell you, I was not prepared.
Right.
Financially, in any way, was I prepared to have a child at 26?
Well, I don't know how the hell anybody starts a business, like why they have a small child. Like I think about the time I put into working before, like when I first started this, compared to like having kids now. I'm like, I don't know how the hell I would do it. I would either just not ever see my kids, which would be miserable. I just wouldn't start the business. But I'm glad I got that time out of the way. I guess I was
fortunate because we worked, right? And it was a struggle. Like I remember riding around on a bicycle collecting aluminum cans so that we could pay for formula or diapers at the time. And I was blessed that I got introduced to the opportunity I'm in now when my kids were old enough that I didn't have to worry about being there and making sure they just had the basics to take care of themselves or for us to take care of them, right?
How'd you get introduced to it?
So I was with State Farm, and I was in our agent aspirant program, and I had an opportunity to move away, right? So we were looking at either the East Coast, like North Carolina, or I really like Boise, Idaho. And my wife, out of nowhere, was like, I'm not moving. And kind of like the guy on Wolf on Wall Street, like, I ain't leaving. Yeah. So literally kind of that conversation. And I was like, well, I can't tell State Farm no because I've already accepted the position. So if I tell them no, I'm done. And so we told them no. And then I had a job interview with a guy locally that's had a mortgage brokerage or had a mortgage branch at the time. And
get your feet wet.
Got my feet wet, and it was kind of rocky for the first 6 months, and then for first year, and then I was really fortunate. Flat Branch took a huge risk on me, right? So I was unproven. I'd only been in the industry for about a year and a half, if that, and they made me an amazing offer. Their owner of their company made an amazing offer, Jim Yankee, And I've been grateful for that opportunity ever since.
Nice.
I wouldn't be in the position I am today if you just said, "Hey,
Did you just meet him at an event or something?"
So you get recruited.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a LinkedIn profile and you're in any industry in the finance industry, I probably have 15 different recruitment messages right now from other companies. And the name Emily Weston was one that set it up, and I had met with Flat Branch a year prior, like almost to the day. And I sat across from a lady named Gina Fitzmarie, who's an amazing person, but she looked right at me and said, "You're not what we're looking for." and I just remember sitting there going,
"Okay, bitch, Jesus."
I just didn't know. And then she gave me
could have let me down a little easier.
She gave me some solid advice. She's like, get some referral partners, develop your brand a little bit, like develop yourself, and then we'll come back to you, in a couple years or a year.
Well, at least she gave you some input there, not just
it wasn't like, get out.
You suck, man. Get out of here.
But it's just the way the content was delivered. I remember sitting there, I was like, man, you're the one who invited me.
Right. That's a little intense.
But I did. I took that to heart, though. I really did. And I busted my tail for the next 12 months. And we would, the one thing that I'm really good at is developing new relationships. And I'm really good at with people on the phone and conversations. And I used that as an asset and made thousands upon thousands of phone calls.
Yeah.
Developed a pipeline. So when they did come back and make an offer, it was one that it wasn't even a question of, are we questioning? Is how fast can I start?
Right.
So and then,
ready.
Yeah.
That's good though.
And Flat Branch's position.
Yourself.
I think people on the I guess a lack of a better term, because Springfield's considered an urban market, but people in larger urban markets fail to realize how Midwest Central Illinois is.
Yeah.
Or parts of Illinois. You get outside of Chicago and people you talk to people from Chicago and they don't realize that out my backyard back home was a 50,000 acre state park.
Right.
Which you don't see that unless you travel. Right. So Flat Branch understands that coming from another town similar to Springfield. So we're able to grow in those communities that are similar to ours.
Where did you say they're based out of?
Columbia, Missouri.
Okay. So that's not too far away at least. Then.
No, and I don't have to go back. I don't have to go back to Columbia very often, and it's always a blast when I go there because it's a college town, and so they got some cool
try
bars.
To keep up with yeah. It's funny. I was telling, who was I talking to? Oh, it was one of my team here the other day. I was like, dude, Springfield used to have downtown 20 bars or something crazy that you could bounce around to, and now there's 6.
Well, I blame the pandemic.
Well, yeah, and I'm not blaming anybody or anything saying that something, but it's just it was crazy how many were down there. And I didn't, you think about it, and we used to go down there and bop around all over the place, all night long.
Back before my drinking days, right? So, but one of the things that hurt though is that when the legislators weren't in session.
Yeah, they cut that stuff out.
There's no downtown, so
yeah.
And it's a constant battle. We're heavily involved in the community. We're involved in several organizations. And one of the topics that comes up is how do we revitalize downtown? Yeah,
it's tough. We looked at the upstairs of Catch before I bought this building.
Did you?
I called, what happened? I liked it because it's right on the corner, busiest corner. You know what I mean? If anybody downtown's walking by there, I thought, man, we could be in the glass doing this podcast right there. That'd be cool. People could watch if they wanted to. I called who did I call? I called the guy that was listed. I don't remember what his name was.
Maybe.
No, it was some realtor or whatever. Just didn't fucking call me back. I called and then finally, so I knew the daughter of the people that used to own that whole corner. Yeah. And I looked, what did I do? I don't know. Basically, I got a hold of the owner of the building. I'm like, hey, I'm interested in this place. Your fucking realtor's not calling me back. And she's like, oh, what? And you could tell she was kind of pissed. And then finally they called me back, and I was just like, no, I'm good.
Pass.
Yeah, they just pissed me off. I got to a point where I was like, this is stupid. What am I? And in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't. But
well, I appreciate you letting me be 8 minutes late, because my pet peeve on the entire planet is when I book an appointment, especially when and your calendar's probably crazy busy like mine is too, but I've had people, hey, I'll be there at 1 o'clock, and then they show up at 2:30, right. And I'm like, just get the fuck out of my office. Just walk out.
Yeah, it's all good. Usually I'm not unless I have something coming up but that's also kind of why I like to do these towards the end of the day. 'Cause one, people are usually more relaxed, and two, like if it goes over a little bit, it's usually
I carved out an hour and a half.
Ryan doesn't mind hanging out a little longer.
I asked him how much time, and he's like, well, sometimes they go an hour and a half. It's like good because that's what I carved out.
Perfect. Yeah, we usually end up at around an hour or something. But what have you seen with the housing market? People still seem like they're. I heard it kind of slowed down for a little bit, but now it's like picking back up.
It's definitely picking back up, and it did slow down. But part of our slowdown is we were in a transition phase. I restructured the team, I restructured our system and processes. I know that, like I talk about, like one of my best attributes is developing relationships, but I'm also really good at problem solving and understanding system flows. Because that's what I did actually with State Farm, and I did with another company two other companies prior to coming to Flat Branch. And like I have a system that works. So but you've probably heard this term before, but sometimes you have to slow down in order to speed up.
Yeah.
And so we did that for basically from September to December. Just really tried to hone in on those processes, and then now we just make minor adjustments. Right.
Process is one of the most important things, man.
Yeah. So
hell, last year we. What did we do? We were reorganized like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're switching this. And I'm just like, I mean, my team probably thought I was crazy, but I would just know, like, I would try something, and I'm like, this isn't working like I thought it would. I'd be like, let's do this. You know what I mean? And it was.
Do you give it time though? Do you give it like 90 days, or do you give it 30 days, or are you just like, nope, I just don't like it, so I'm gonna start over?
We usually at least give it a little bit of time. I think one of the times when I switched something, I didn't give it too long, but I just immediately saw it wasn't
working.
Yeah. But we have a lot of things we have to think about as far as like, what's this client? If we have 2 clients that are in the same industry, we like to kind of put them on different teams, so there's that separation. You know
Sure.
what I mean? They get fresh ideas from each team, and just thinking about how that works. And we've also been using this program called ClickUp, and
I think
have
I've
you heard of it?
Yeah.
We've customized the shit out of it,
Have you?
and actually, Josh, they gave some sort of ClickUp certification or something, because I'll go to him. Well, when he first started, I'm like, here's what I want this thing to do, man. I know you can figure it out. I don't have the time to mess with it. Here's the basics. And then he just dove in and was able to, now I just tell him how I want something to work.
I have multiple I call them CRM tools, so customer relationship management or customer whatever, right? So, and each one serves a purpose, and the cost to have one that does what all these other 4 do is just astronomical. So it's better to have 3 or 4 different pieces of software that you use. And we focus heavily on making sure that part of the process is followed. So if a borrower calls applies immediately, my client coordinator, her name's Ty, is calling the borrower like, hey, I need your documents right now. And there's a way that she talks and is very friendly on the phone. And she used to be in loss mitigation, so she's really good at talking to people in a way that makes them feel comfortable and warm and welcome, versus I need your documents right fucking now.
Yeah.
And
send those over to me, bitch.
Yeah. Because people get defensive, right? Depending on the tone of voice. And usually they'll call me and be like, hey, I think I sent all your documents on. And my response is just naturally is like, no, you didn't. Yeah. And they're like, what do you, and then they immediately get defensive. And she has ways like, well, it looks like that I did receive some documents and here's what received, but I still need, and she's just really good at it.
Yeah.
It's a great fit for her.
Yeah.
Right? So,
that's good.
And I'm not that person. Like, no, you didn't send me this, you didn't send me this, send me this. Let me know when you send the rest.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
It's a good spot for her. But we're all about processes, right? Making sure stuff works a certain way, because the nice thing about processes, and you've probably seen this too, is that it's scalability.
Yeah.
Right? How am I going to be able to grow?
And that's why this last year, I wasn't afraid to do that so many times. And I'm like, we're just trying to figure out the best way to do what we're doing, because there's a lot of moving parts, man. We got to make sure we got the ideas written down, that then those get passed, get approved or get going, and then those ideas got to turn into actual go to creation, and then creation, it has to get created, and then it's got to get approved, and then you know what I mean. So there's always steps, and as soon as one thing falls off or is missed or isn't checked, it
doesn't work.
Yeah, it just messes everything up. So that's just from the content creation, and then so we've been able to customize the software. We have our CRM in it, and we have our content creation management in it. We have our employee management in it, but it's crazy because you could do all this different stuff with it. You could just say like, do this when this happens and make this change and move
program
here.
it.
And
Yep.
yeah, it is. It's like a programming, but it's been good for us. So it was nice to find it.
What we've learned too with the process, and like you're talking about, is that it does, like if you have one, you might be able to have a great experience with a customer without having the process in place a couple times, but it's not a duplicatable process if you don't follow it consistently.
Yeah.
So, this customer had a great experience.
Easy to train somebody new.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Like you have a checklist. Like, so if I have someone who's never taken a loan application before and they just got licensed and they're we call them green, like they're green, then they can just go to the checklist. Oh, did I ask them about this? Did I ask them about this? Did I talk about this? So we asked this question, and then now I don't have to worry about sitting there and making them write everything down. And then they can listen in on how I take an application based on the checklist, and they can adjust their process. But at least we know the content that's being asked or shared is the same.
Isn't that funny though? How like one thing is never like good for everything.
It's not.
Like,
no.
especially with us, I'm like, man, I feel like there should be something. Like, there's got to be other companies doing what we're doing. Like, has nobody done this? You know what I mean? Like when I worked at Ace Sign Company, they literally created their own program.
Yeah.
Like someone there knew how to do programming, and they had him, and he custom programmed a fucking program for him to use.
We talked, like you and I have had lunch a few times. We talked about that, and some of the ideas that I've just had, right? And I really feel like some of the stuff I steal it from other people, right? Or customize it to how it'd be beneficial for us. But then we'll implement it, and then we'll see other loan officers or other teams or other areas of the country literally copying what we just did. And I'm like, man, I wish I had a way to like copyright. But it's just a process.
Right.
Nothing that I can go, hey, I can make money.
I guess that's why what am I trying to say? I guess that's where like people that get hired to do consultation type shit. You know what I mean?
And that's what we've run into that a few times now. Like obviously being involved in the community, we've done a couple fundraisers.
I saw you did the angel tree.
Yeah, we did that too. Like
my wife and I always do that. We do one for each kid we have. So this year we did 3.
We have so when I was a kid, and I didn't know this till I was older. I come from extremely humble beginnings. Is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But we'd always had a Christmas, right? I'd wake up and like it'd always be like different handwriting, but it'd say from Santa or from like whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'd have a Nerf gun or I'd have a new like CD player or whatever, right? And if people know what a CD player is anymore, and then come to find out when
those will be making it on my little shelf of relics over there eventually.
Come to find out much later that my mom was like, yeah, we would turn your guys' names in and your wish list. We'd have you draw out the wish list and we'd turn that into the angel tree at the local church, at our local church. And that's how we were able to have Christmas every year. So I make it a point specifically to donate to angel trees or giving trees or whatever you want to call them. So
my mom just went into debt and then got in a fight with my dad, and
yeah.
I mean, we were pretty poor too. I think my parents declared bankruptcy like 2 different times.
I think my parents were so broke. So I've learned too, because there was a point in my financial history that I explored that option, and I think my parents were so broke they couldn't even afford to pay for a bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So it just didn't make sense, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. They were just and like they would have like, I feel like that they would have decent jobs, but just terrible money management or something. I don't know. My
mom was an assistant manager at Wendy's, and I remember back then she made like $19,000 a year.
Yeah.
And $19,000 a year today is well below the poverty level, right?
Yeah.
So a $19,000 back then with a family of 5.
That's terrible.
Right. So
yeah, it's hard, man. It you know what though, and this I worry about this with my kids, is like what it does to you as a person.
Oh, my kids.
Because it just makes you hungry, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how do I make sure that my kids have that same hunger? And my wife's like, are we going to, like one time she's like, are we going to buy our kids cars? I was like, hell no, that kid better fucking get to work. I was like, you can come clean the parking lot or something. I was like, I might do something where I like match him like some or
That's
something.
what I'm doing with my daughter, right? She's got more than enough money saved up, but I told her to match her, right? But I worry about that all the time because my wife had struggled, but her mom was able to remarry, and then she was able to live lack of a better term, blessed life, right? I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I never had the opportunity, like everything to this day, like my kids have never ridden a school bus to and from school on a regular basis. And like, that's where I learned how to fight.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten a couple of fights on the school bus.
Yeah. So, or we watch like people do things they're not supposed to do on the school bus. Right.
Yeah.
So, and my kids have gone to a private school. They've been blessed. I will say that we were, I had an advantage because I went to a private school until I was in 8th grade in our hometown. And because of that, I can read and write on a regular basis and I have a high comprehension level. But I do think I have friends of mine that went to the public school who probably were intelligent wise or as smart as I am, but don't have that background. So there's benefit there, but it wasn't because my parents afforded it. It's because we were so poor that we were the kids that got the scholarship.
Whatever,
yeah. They picked like 3 families in the whole city, and we got nominated as one.
We made it. Oh wait, no, it's because we're poor.
We were walking out of church one time, and I went to a father, and I found $100 bill laying on, like it was obviously for the donation basket that they hand around, and I went to him and I was like, hey, I found this. I think this is supposed to go in the thing. And he's like, you just keep that. And man, I thought I was rich. So
yeah, man, thank God my brother, like, so he, we didn't have any money and he wanted to buy stuff. He was into computers and shit. Computers were just coming around and obviously they were super expensive. So he got a paper route. And so he basically started that whole thing, and then my sister did it, and then I did it. I started doing it at age 10 because we just all like wanted money to be able to fucking do what we want to do.
So my daughter babysits, right? And she makes quite a bit of money off babysitting because babysitting prices have like skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I blame care.com, whatever the
well,
website
shit,
is.
It's hard to, I mean, if you can find a babysitter that you trust, you know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing. They're not going to freaking molest your kids or some crazy shit.
Well, there's all people that we know and that we trust. And she makes, I don't know, she'll make $100 on a weekend.
Yeah.
Right? As a 14 or 15-year-old. Hopefully nobody turns me in for child labor here. But the thing, like,
it's donations. They're donations.
They're donations for a future car. Yeah. But you bring up a good point, though, is how do we take that same drive and energy and work ethic and go, hey, the reason I have this stuff isn't because someone gave it to me, because I woke up every day like at 5 o'clock in the morning and all I thought about was how could I build my business to get to this level.
Yeah.
And I think my son will be okay because he's extremely competitive. Like I thought I was competitive and he's real competitive too. And then I can definitely tell that my daughter has a misconception on how the world works. Right? We're financially, like how we think about finances is world apart.
Right.
And she got to work with me for a little bit, but like the reason why I'm fiscally conservative, right, is because of this.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you could always just make more money. Right. Or I could be fiscally conservative in case something happens.
I know. I tell stories to my wife. I'm like, dude, my grandpa would literally hang his dental floss next to the mirror and reuse his fucking dental floss. He had a saying that if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down.
That's fantastic.
If it's pee, you let it mellow, baby. Tell the next one.
Wait, like I've heard stories people putting bricks in the back of their toilet, the toilets. And then
they had money though. My grandparents had money. But they were cheap as shit, and they lived through the Depression and all that shit, and they worked hard for their fucking money, and they weren't going to waste it.
I do think there's a generational difference between that generation and then Gen X, right? Baby boomers, Gen X, and then back to, because it seems like it fluctuates. I do think that people who are more educated now are this Gen Z in regards to how money works and the ability to make it. You've got TikTok, Twitch.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways that kids, I think, are seeing how to make it. So my brother was telling me about a survey that they did, and they were looking at all of them, and I don't remember the fucking orders everybody goes in, but, like Gen Z, Gen X, all these things, and they were asking them, what do you think how much do you think you should make to live a normal life? And it started off.
Great question.
Yeah, it started off basically like, whatever. Again, I don't know all the fucking things, but it was like the first one was like, 60,000, and then the next gen was like, $80,000, and then like the youngest one was like $110,000, and I'm like, God damn. 110,000.
First year I filed taxes.
Shit is going on around here.
First year I officially filed taxes, I made $9,000.
Yeah, how do they think like that? That's how much like they need to make the. It's just crazy. So I don't know, And we have people apply and they'll put like what they want, and they don't have any experience, and put like fucking $25 an hour.
I blame college for that.
Yeah,
I don't have a college degree, and my wife does. But her family comes from humble beginnings too. Like her grandma can.
I didn't ask earlier. Is that why she didn't want to leave? She has family around here.
Yeah, they're in Southern Illinois. They're in Murfreesboro.
Yeah,
her and her grandma are real close. That's basically who raised her.
Yeah,
and her grandma knows how to can food. Has the best chicken and dumplings on the planet. Like every time she goes down there, like please bring me some back.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I've learned from like with my daughter Trinity is that she thinks that things shouldn't cost as much too, right? So like this bottle of water, because it's $2, oh, it's just water, it should only cost 50 cents. I'm like, right, but someone had to make this plastic, design this
and
logo.
Shit's just more expensive than ever.
Right, ever. But I was trying to explain to her what all the costs were associated to making one item, and all she thought about was, well, it's water, it should be free.
Right.
So
I didn't even used to sell water bottled. No. Whoever the hell came up with that brilliant idea.
The bubblies, like they call them bubblies, like the local parks, which you can't have anymore because of the pandemic or people tear them up.
Yeah, no, I feel like when I was a kid, they didn't even have bottled water.
No, I don't remember drinking bottled water until I got older.
But
I think I was in my 20s, early 20s when it popped around.
It's crazy idea, man. Crazy idea. Well, now that the fucking Liquid Death just came along and completely changed it. They're making a killing. It's they've named it Liquid Death. Yeah, and it's all marketing. It's crazy.
Right? Like it's a great way to attract an audience. So if you're drinking all night and then they give you that, nobody thinks you're drinking water.
Right.
So
yeah, what a fucking brilliant.
Man, we've gone like to all kinds of stuff that we've talked about so far. This is awesome.
But seriously, I mean, that's what a lot of companies are nowadays. It's just like a marketing company. Like you look at a company like Wayfair. Mm-hmm. Like they don't make, I don't know if they do now, but they didn't used to, but I don't think they do now either. But it's just someone that developed a website, and all they do is sell other people's shit. It's kind of like an Amazon of furniture.
Yeah, they're the Walmart of the internet. So
yeah, and they just create like a marketing company, basically, is all it is.
I try to tell, and I know people think that Walmart has stock and like Great Value or whatever it is, the brand that they have, but Walmart is really this buy and sell. We're buying this amount of product. Remember, they put like Rubbermaid out of business or made them file bankruptcy because they kept trying to reduce their costs so much. And
beat them up.
Yeah, they just beat them up. So, but the internet is definitely, Amazon's the same thing. Like my daughter's looking at starting her own Amazon store and starting Facebook groups and TikToks and all the things that are necessary to promote those items. But you're correct. Like they figured out how to monetize promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's interesting.
Which is what you help people do.
Yeah, there we go. Call me.
Shameless plug.
What have you found to be the most successful for you guys as far as like marketing or like growing your business from like an ad or marketing perspective?
So
will you aim that thing at you just a little bit tilted? You could twist it however you want. There you go.
A little better. I like this. I feel like I'm making out with it now.
Yeah, get your tongue on it. Just put the whole thing in your mouth and hum.
Didn't what's his name do that? The rock jock or the shock jock, where I can't think. Anyways, we'll change the subject. Not Spencer. Howard Stern's.
Oh yeah.
That was on his movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Anyways, the thing that's probably been most beneficial for us is our community involvement.
Yeah.
The one thing about our local market is that they're very local, and I know Springfield. The sign says 117,000 people on the sign, but if you cough on one side of town or sneeze on one side of town, the other side of town tells you, Gesundheit or God bless you, right?
Yep.
So we've become heavily involved in the community. And the biggest thing, I'll be like a lot of people, we have radio, we have radio, we have sponsorships, we have community involvement, but the biggest thing for us has been social media.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Fred, I saw you on social media, right? Now that
typically your personal
stuff, right? So, but
do you spend any ad dollars?
Not right now.
And you don't get like I tell people all the time. I'm like, dude, like Facebook, which is one of the biggest ones in Springfield for sure, is like
Because
very pay to play if you're doing it from your business page. Your personal page is a little bit easier. If you have a good following, you have a lot of people on there. But like business page, you almost always pay to play.
I did that digital creator thing that Facebook came out with in December, and they're like, hey, get paid to do like reels and stuff. And I was like, I don't do like the only reels I do have to do about like merge content or my dog.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll talk about Odin here in a minute. But, I didn't like. I went from having like 3,000 followers to 5,500 followers like that.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if that's a Facebook marketing ploy based on what they're trying to increase to become more relatable to the younger generations.
Yeah.
But social media has definitely helped us brand ourselves that we're different. Right. Like because we're available. That's the thing that makes us different is that you go to a bank, they're open from 8:30 to 5. Right. You can call me on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock. I'm going to answer my phone because I want to help you buy a house. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not trying to stop you from buying a house because I clocked out at 5 p.m. on Friday. No. I don't have a clock. I'm 100% commission. So it's in our best interest to make sure that people get into homes.
Yeah.
So we
might be a little bit buzzed, but I'm going to answer.
Yeah, there's definitely. I don't take mortgage applications while I'm drinking. So. But the thing that really has helped us the most, or create awareness for us, has been social media.
Yeah,
I've recently gotten a TikTok. I'm learning how that works. I've made a couple videos that have 1,000 views now.
Nice. Yeah. It's fucking exhausting, dude. There's so many social medias.
And
then trying to post to them all the right way. It's like,
if I was a 25-year-old, let me rephrase that. If I was a 25-year-old female that was in shape and worked out all the time, you immediately have 50,000 followers.
Yep.
All you gotta do is post your workout videos.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at one.
Let the creepers get in there.
Yeah, I looked at one, and all she does is just her working out, and she I went through all her videos, and it's just her doing different workouts, and she has like 175,000 followers. Mm-hmm. And there's no way 175,000 people are watching her workouts to get better at working out.
Right. I'm just gonna follow this. Honey, I never see you work out, though.
Right? Yeah. And we do that challenge. Have you ever done the challenge on TikTok where you open up your TikTok to see how long?
See what's in your feed.
We call them thirst traps.
Yeah.
So how many scrolls does it take to get to a thirst trap?
That's funny. We were doing that one time. We were talking about, we were looking, somebody's timeline. It's funny, like you scroll through it like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what you watch. Okay. And it's interesting because I'll look at my son's TikTok and it's like basketball ones. They're all like about basketball.
Yeah.
And then Trinity's is about like some emo and the stuff that the Japanese cartoon stuff.
Anime.
Actually, I'm not into anime, right?
Yeah.
But then like mine's all about like the warrior soldier overcoming life, like every other one. And then I think my wife's it's about like cooking shows,
right?
Of like different foods. So it's definitely, they have that algorithm figured out. I also wonder if they take some of your metrics based on what you put on your profile and try to create that that algorithm based on who you are.
What do you think about TikTok in general?
I think it is a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
Tool.
How do you feel about like them trying to ban it and stuff? Like, have you heard about like what the terms and conditions and shit?
Yeah. So I've heard about some of the stuff. First of all, like, how are you going to control it here, right, when it's not owned here? So then you're limiting information. And I'm a big fan of free speech, regardless of what that speech is, good or bad, right? So you should, and I understand that people are like, well, sometimes bad speech can incite bad things, right? But sometimes it might be worth listening to the bad things to find out what's bad.
I agree to that. I don't like the fact that I wouldn't be mad if it got shut down. I'm a social media person. I'm all for it. I say use it while it is here.
Right.
Like, use the shit out of it. But I would not be mad if it got shut down because I just, from a American perspective, I think they're getting too much data from it, and there's too much risk involved.
Why is there not a company out there that's doing that here in the States too? Right. So, and I agree.
Something like TikTok.
Yeah. So, and I know that it originally started here, right? And then it got bought out by investors, and come to find out those investors are primarily.
It was ByteDance, I think, bought it, and yeah. So there was a thing where they had to put in place a while ago when Trump tried to ban it. They had to put in place this situation where like supposedly China couldn't access the servers here or whatever. But give me a break. Like, sorry, that got turned off for one day. Now they have everything.
So my dad was a little bit of a conspiracy theorist growing up, and I remember him telling me, so in like 1982, I think Oliver North was like testifying about Osama bin Laden. And they asked him, like, why do you have...
In 82?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. So they knew about this cat a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right? So they just asked him, like, why do you have, like, the most advanced security system available on the entire... That was part of, like, the Iran-Contra affair, right? Part of that. And I'm paraphrasing. I might be way off base, but I just remember talking about it. My point, though, is my dad made the comment that in 1982, they were listening to 1 out of every 7 phone calls made outside of the United States in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
So if you made a phone call to Australia, 1 out of 7 times that phone call was getting listened to by someone to make sure that you weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
So, and now we have phones that are way better at doing that technology today. So you can't tell me that they don't already know what's going on. But it's predictive behavior.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough. And the other thing is like, do you know how like in China the TikTok that they have is way different?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
The kids get all educational stuff and all like, and then after like
forced curriculum,
I think at like 10 or like 7 o'clock or something, they can't even get on it or something crazy. I wouldn't be mad about it. Again, I'm a fucking social media guy. I'm saying like I told my wife, I'm like, our kids will not be on, not gonna have a phone. And they're not going to be. They're still right now. They hardly have even been on a tablet or a phone or anything.
We were very cognizant of that too. Our kids didn't get cell phones. Till they were teenagers.
Yeah,
and then
it just goes all crazy.
Nothing you can do.
But what do you do? They got to have it. Eventually, it's but anyway, yeah. It's
like Dad, I'm the weird kid. Why are you the weird kid? Because I don't have a cell phone.
Maybe you're actually cool.
Right, you don't realize it yet.
Just turn it into you being better than everyone.
And you gotta like.
But Steve Jobs wouldn't give his fucking kids like iPads and shit. Like they never used them.
Sometimes, so I've like heard of the term like too much. Like it's the application of knowledge that's important, not the access of it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's one thing too. I was like,
you have your access to everything.
Yeah. And I was like, well, what if I was like, when we do, or maybe they don't have a phone, but like a computer or whatever. I was like, I want to do like they get like an hour of time on doing bullshit, playing games or whatever, and they have to spend like an hour creating or doing something on it that's good for them, also like educational or creative or something to like balance out.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like
seems like a good way, right?
I talk about TikTok and I scroll. I'm a scroller, right? And I'm like, oh, I like that one, click, right? But I'm also trying to use it as a tool to help further my opportunities. And I think the difference is we're not teaching kids that the social media is if you could find a way to monetize it and use it as a tool as opposed to a hobby that's incorporated into your life every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where social media has really taken the turn, is that the media is supposed to be informative, but now it's more of like entertainment. Like how we're using this as a way to entertain ourselves as opposed to reading a book or going to the park or whatever, right? So
it's just finding that balance. And I think it's a transition period, Like it's at a point where it's just like consuming people, but then it's going to be like, it's a balance, I feel like, at least, who knows,
What movie was it that was about like the alien, like they sent the robot down, and if they didn't meet like a certain change by a certain time, and like the robot like wiped out the whole planet and started over. I think it had Keanu Reeves in it.
I don't know. I don't remember that one.
They talk about that movie about the precipice of change.
Do you know what they're talking about?
And I don't know, but I'll try and like
John Wick.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, the precipice of change. But he taught like I do believe that humans have the ability to take us all the way to the brink, and then we find a way to come back from it. Right. So like whether it be climate control or social media, or Americans definitely have the ability of figuring out how to. Like we'll screw things up so royally bad, but then we're really good at fixing it. Too.
Yeah.
So
have you ever seen that that basically that circle where it's like strong men make good
strong men make good times make weak men make bad times make strong men.
It's like through history though, if you go look at it, there's it seems like it's pretty fucking accurate.
I would absolutely agree with that.
There's a book called I've mentioned it before. You remember what I called it?
The Day the Earth Stood Still. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that. What was the book called? God, I can't think of it. But anyway, it's kind of about that same thing, and it looks back through all of time, and it like basically the big events like the Great Depression and like and the wars and all this shit like follow on these periods of the fourth turning, I think it was called. It's these groups of four. It's 20 years, 20 years, 20 years, and it's the fourth. It's like the at 80, I guess it would be.
So we're
and we're like right on it. And
yeah, we're at one right now.
This book was in 2010. It was written or something like that. 2008, and it said in 2020 like 4. Like, you know what I mean? Right around there. It was going to be the end of another thing. So it was just interesting.
I've heard a lot of people talk about that because we're on the same cycle as the 20th century, right? So you had the early 1900s into the Roaring 20s, Great Depression, out of the Great Depression, the World War II.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you did the Great Society. Then you moved into like we're on that cycle right now, and I'm not saying I'm a conspiracy theorist prepper, but
they're kind of fun though, aren't they?
Yeah, you're like reading about this, and I like watching the guys on TV that like
break them down.
He built a castle.
How about the fucking alien guy?
Yeah,
with the hair. You ever see that guy?
Yeah,
he's so funny.
So it just they're fun to watch, and sometimes it makes you think where are we headed, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, I'm more concerned about how much money I have in my bank account, and make sure I pay my bills on time. So
we're dealing with real world problems over here. That's why I hate thinking about politics, man, and shit. I'm just like,
I don't do the politic game. One of my best friends is
people get so worked up about.
He's a progressive. My other best friend is a diehard conservative, diehard, like we'll fight you in a bar conservative.
Right.
And so, and we all go drinking together.
And then they start battling. You're just like, all right,
all right, I'm going home. I do
time to switch bars.
I'll do the Irish goodbye. Like, I'm going to the bathroom and never come back. And they'll text me later, hey, did you make it home okay? I was like, well, I just want to make sure. I don't want to be there when the fists started flying.
Oh, that's funny. People get so worked up about it nowadays, man. It's crazy.
My daughter and I get into it, actually.
Yeah.
Because all I'm doing is asking questions.
Yeah. Trying to make her think about it more.
So you feel like this way? Yes. Okay. Why do you feel this way? I'm not prepared to answer these questions. Just tell me how you feel.
There's a TikTok I saw. All right. It made sense.
Oh, man. Oh, now you're talking. So the cat thing, like the litter boxes in school thing got me a little bit.
Oh, Jesus.
So
that's crazy.
That conversation got brought up between her and I was like, I'm absolutely not for litter boxes in your school, which there's no way in her school they'd ever allow it anyways.
Yeah.
But she's like, why not? Like, why? Like, give me a reason why it's important. Well, people should be able to do what they want to do when they... No.
People need more struggle, man.
Well,
I'm something like when you start worrying about this crazy shit, like
we had people who died for millions of years without running water. Now we have running water and we're back to not using it. Yeah. Like, what the hell? Man. So...
And litter boxes.
Yeah, that was a real thing. That I did not believe that was a real thing until I looked.
One of my team said that his old school, somebody identified as a cat, and someone barked at him and got suspended.
Not cool, man. Come on. Like, that can't be real. There's no way. Like, yeah. Oh, you're going to jail. No, I did. When I was in 8th grade, I got suspended from school for leaning back in my chair too much.
I got suspended for real things like fighting.
Yeah, I got in a fight one time. I remember my mom coming to pick me up. My mom's like, "You think sending him home? Like, he got in a fight so he could come home."
I got suspended for fighting, but I was defending myself.
They didn't care in my school either.
My mom fucking flipped out on him.
I guess they just arrest you now. Like, it doesn't matter. You get caught fighting, they just show up with the cops. And,
you're out of here, buddy.
But I could see that. I'm from a large urban perspective. I could see why. We're just not going to risk it.
You get crazy. And weapons and shit. What did you bring me here?
So that's just swag. I think I got some koozies in there. Maybe some stuff from a couple of the other business
Capital
referral partners.
Mortgage team.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a towel.
Golf towel. State Farm golf towel. Just give me a whole bag of goodies.
That's it. Hey, that was my Father's Day gift to all the fathers last year.
That's hilarious. That's a great idea. What else we got here? Oh my gosh! Look at all this.
I'm not sure what's in there.
I love when it's Christmas. He just grabbed a bunch of shit off of
No, my team did.
Where's the bottle of whiskey?
This is... I said, I'm taking beer. That's
hilarious.
And Pat was like, why don't you grab a goodie bag?
Yeah.
All right. So
that's great. This is funny, though. That was a good idea. The fanny packs.
The fanny packs. And then we had the dad glasses with the socks. And then I think I made a TikTok
that's
with
hilarious.
that, too. We have our St. Patty's Day celebration coming up. Our open house, too, because we just remodeled our office.
You did?
Yeah.
I was going to say, how the hell are you fitting that many people in there?
So we had to remodel a little bit. I wanted a conference room. so we can meet with realtor teams and other business partners. And then Kyle has been gracious enough to allow us to grow, right? He's giving up some of his space because he's not using it in his office.
Nice.
So we'll grow into that space eventually.
There you go.
Our goal, like, I firmly believe if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yeah.
You don't see, if trees aren't putting out leaves every year, they're getting ready, they're going to die soon.
Yeah.
So that's my thought process when it comes to my business.
You'd be amazed how hard it is sometimes to convince somebody that they need to be on, that some people we still have to, that literally aren't on social media. And I'm like, you guys need to make a Facebook page, man. Like, what is going on here?
So when you Google somebody now, like say you Google a business, the Facebook page is the most likely thing to pop up, right?
Sometimes,
on
yeah.
Google, yeah. So
Unless we made your website.
yeah, right, yeah. But I typed in Flat Branch Home Loans, it's like the third link down, right?
Yeah.
Like it's their Facebook page. Type in Fred Weber and it's my Facebook page or my Zillow profile are the first two things that pop up.
Yeah.
So
no, they're getting up there. Not only that, but on Google they show your Facebook reviews.
Yep.
Have your like Google reviews, and they'll show like your Facebook reviews.
We had I was a part of a networking group, and I had one bad review on Google, and our company shut down every Google loan officer profile because of that bad review. Because it made it all the way to our corporate compliance, you know, and they're like, nope, we're done. Nope, we're not doing these. We can't do individual Google pages anymore for this reason right here.
That's crazy.
So, and it wasn't even for a file that we ended up closing. It was an application that we took, and the borrower took 3 months to get us the things we needed. And then by the time they got us the things we needed, we couldn't do anything. Like, we could help them, but it wasn't at a rate that they wanted.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but you waited 3 months, bro. Like, rates have changed. Like, now rates are going up. And next thing you know, his wife or girlfriend or fiance left me a 1-star review and talked about how horrible of an experience it was with us. And
you didn't have your girl talking to her.
yeah. Now I know
it's gonna be okay. Here's what happened.
Yeah, now I know. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you've had growing pains too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I'm starting to understand my strengths.
Someone
more.
just left a negative review that
Didn't know
nobody
that.
random. I'm like, sorry. Have we worked with you before? Or is just somebody probably being a dick?
Well, now they
Jealous.
got the Bitcoin miner Facebook review people that they'll leave you a recommendation, and if you don't comment on their comment that they made on your page, they'll come back and change their recommendation to 1 star. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
No, so it's totally a scam. And it's like a way to get people to try to interact. Like, oh, we found out that if you do this, blah, 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 totally random, right? On a post of yours. And then they'll recommend your page. But if you don't respond to them in a certain amount of time, they'll change it to 1 star and talk about how you didn't interact with them on Facebook.
Huh.
Which Facebook will justify that you didn't respond to them in a certain amount of time. When you can tell, like, no, I have no interest in finding out how to use your...
I don't even think it's stars anymore.
Just
it's
recommendations.
It's just recommend or don't.
They'll change it to don't recommend them.
That's kind of harsh, too.
Yeah, just, we don't
How do we
recommend them
just
now.
have one or the other?
Well, and they're like, I don't have any desire to use your Bitcoin mining service or whatever it is they're choosing to do. And I have a couple on there from our
weird.
Instagram
I haven't
profile.
seen that one yet.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find some for you. But I'm just like, what? And then if you don't respond to them a certain amount of time, they change it to the negative recommendation. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a pain in the ass. It's like, come on, guys. Don't you have anything
What
better
about
to
Yelp?
do here? What are
have
we
you-
doing? I fucking hate Yelp.
Have you heard, like, what's going on with them?
No, but I hope they burn.
You'll have people
They
that...
harass the... Have they called you? Mm-mm. Oh my God, don't talk to them.
I'm afraid to.
They will, like, harass you. They literally, with my photo booth company, because I, like, registered on there, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
then I just started getting calls. And they're like, yo, you got to advertise on Yelp. Don't you want to advertise on Yelp? Don't you do this? And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm just getting on there. And then they're like, well, you know, if you don't, you're probably not going to, like, I don't remember how they said it. They basically told me that they were purposely going to move my listing down if I did not advertise.
So that's what they're doing. So if you don't advertise, if they call you and you don't advertise with them, they leave you a negative review.
They are the most harassing.
Well, hopefully nobody's using Yelp. If you're using Yelp, stop using Yelp.
Dude, they are terrible.
But yeah, if they call you, you're like, no, I don't want your services. They're like, all right, cool. Whatever. Like, we don't recommend you now.
Yeah.
And they'll purposely put your bad reviews to the top and move all your good reviews to the bottom. So when people look you up, they're like, oh, he's got a 1-star review. There's no way I'm buying him.
That's basically what they threatened me with. And I was like, fuck you. I don't care what you do. Go ahead.
And then I think
It's like, I don't think anybody uses your platform anyway. Nobody I know does.
I think they're moving in a negative. Like, At least not in our area.
Dude, they are
right?
harassing me. Well, they were harassing me.
I get a lot of the
like,
Google
just
Analytics people call me.
man. Oh, that make it sound like they work with Google?
Yeah. Hey, we're calling you from Google. I'm like, you're not calling me from Google.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, what's your email address? You know? It's crazy the scams people run, man. I get clients sending me shit all the time, forwarding me emails, letters in the mail. I got a letter in the mail to me to renew my web address. And I'm like,
what?
I host my own web address.
I figured you probably had your own server, right?
And they're like, it's crazy. And I'm like, that somebody not knowing, and I get pictures from clients. They're like, do I need to fill this out? And I'm like, no. Like, I'll let you know. I'll let you know if
GoDaddy.
Yeah,
so,
I'll let you know if it needs renewed.
I'm concerned that when our time frame comes up, that in 10 years that our website will have so many hits that GoDaddy's be like, we're going to need $20,000 in order to keep your website.
No,
so
I won't ever be able to do that.
I hope that doesn't happen. But then I'll get the random emails from like, oh, Illinois Home Mortgage just come available.
Yeah.
And we'll charge you $7,000 for this.
To
buy it. And then you look on GoDaddy and you see it's available.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, for example, right. I've done that a couple times.
That just happened to me with the IllinoisMarketingCompany.com or something like that. I'm like, no, I don't want that.
Why would I want that? Yeah,
or that web address. Well, back in the day, there was a guy. Someone told me this story. I haven't verified it, but it's not. I don't know why they would make it up. But there was a guy that used to buy up all the 1-800 numbers.
Yeah.
So he owned all these fucking 1-800 numbers, and he would go lease them to people, so he'd make money off that shit. Well, then that same guy did the same thing with web addresses, but he went and bought up like all the porn ones.
Oh,
so he would
good for him, man.
He would lease these porn web addresses to him, but he would put all these crazy stipulations to where his company gets to advertise on their website. So he would own different advertising on all these porn websites. That was crazy.
And is he a gazillionaire now?
I don't know. But then he also just bought up a shitload of them to resell and of web addresses, domains. And
I had a friend of mine that had a phone, lack of a better term, phone dating service in St. Louis.
Back in the day?
No, this is probably 2000.
Well, the old school call.
2010, 2000, you call it's a dating service. You leave a call, you leave a profile. You call and you leave a voicemail, and then to access your voicemails, you have to pay so much per voicemail, right?
Oh, Jesus.
So he made a very good living doing this, right? And he was around my age at the time. So 2010, that would have made him 31, 32.
Damn.
And then the guy that he was leasing his 1-800 numbers from shut him down.
Oh,
because he found out that what the type of because eventually it transitioned, right? It went from being a legit dating service to all the weird stuff.
Yeah.
That it turned into that type of dating service.
Oh, good.
So when the guy who was leasing him his 1-800 numbers was like, nope, we're cutting this down. We're shutting this down. Shut down his whole business. He ended up moving. He was a programmer too, so he moved to Oregon or somewhere and was able to build a Christian dating profile website or something. So good for him.
Christian Mingle.
We called him the Congressman. That's what we called him.
What was the farmers one? Farmers Only.
Man, that thing has got to be popular here.
Farmers Only.
That has to be super popular in Springfield.
That's hilarious. So what's next, man? You said you're trying to hire?
Yeah, so we're growing, right? I always want to grow. Obviously, this is my passion. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, unless someone came across my desk and offered me a lot more money to do something else. But I make a really good living now, so our goal is to grow. We want to continue to add loan officers, create a scalable, duplicatable, repeatable business so that we just plug people in and they can start making money, right? And then we're also providing a service. The bad thing about our industry is it's kind of turning a commodity. A lot of people are good at it. So how do we separate ourselves in a industry where there's a lot of good people at it? So how do we make ourselves unique, right? We have the beer, our processes, our follow-up systems. So we have to grow. And how I grow now is instead of me doing all the legwork going, hey, I'm taking your application, how do I teach other people how to make money too? And I make just a small percentage off of that.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going next.
Okay.
Creating a duplicatable, repeatable business. Murfreesboro, my hometown, is kind of my test subject. Looks like my next test subject is probably going to be 2 other places here in the state. And then I would ultimately like to live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Really?
I'd love it there.
Yeah.
You're in Tennessee, you're in the mountains.
Yeah.
I can
Nashville's nice, man.
Enjoy a lot of the freedoms that our Constitution says we're allowed to have.
I went down there, years ago, and I was like, man, this is a great town. And then I was talking to somebody about buying like an Airbnb there, and then I watched a video, and it was early, like not early, but like when Airbnb was still like pretty young. And one of the videos was talking about like 10 ways to invest, your money or whatever that it will be great for the future. And one of them was like buy Airbnb in Nashville.
Yeah,
and then like their property, like 3 or 4 years after that, they're like the property values down there were just going crazy.
They're growing. Every time I've driven through there to go to like Gatlinburg or go to Florida, like there's cranes everywhere building buildings. Yeah. So I'd love to
a good investment.
Would have been.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
What do they call that? Psychological foresight or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
I don't know. I always
think back on them.
I was getting a tattoo the other day, and I took my daughter with me.
I was going to ask you about that. I saw you were getting tatted up the other day. I got old statue there ready to pop somebody.
I have, take my money, watch what happens. Hold my briefcase of money. My Statue of Liberty is going to shoot you. I've always wanted to have multiple, like, I've been a tattoo guy, right, since I was in my early 20s. And
you going to sleeve it?
It
looked like it was setting up.
So
we'll
have 2 sleeves. I'll have my left sleeve and my right sleeve. I've already got my right leg done. We'll do the left leg at some point too. But I'm big into like genealogy, and my family is Irish and Norwegian, and so both those cultures were heavy into body art, right? So even though we're Catholic, or I was born and raised Catholic, and they kind of frown upon that, but like if you look into some of the older cultures, they're prior to being introduced to Christianity, that stuff was not frowned upon. So, and that's starting to come back a little bit. So, I'm just a kind of a way to say thank you to our ancestors. Yeah. So that's kind of why I do it. Mine all means something. I just randomly get a tattoo that goes, oh, that's a pretty butterfly.
My sister-in-law, my brother's wife, she went through, like, we had this big family like Bible that had like all kinds of stuff in it, and like she went, and then my grandparents were big on that stuff and teaching us it. She went back though and like entered like all of our family history and ancestry, and she's like traced it like way the fuck back, like 1700, 1600. She's got that shit back there, like coming over from England shit, and like on different sides. It's crazy. So it was cool though when we were trying to name our kids. We could go way back and just look at everything.
Take some old ones.
Yeah, just find weird shit. Ebenezer didn't fly over too well. I was trying to get that one.
Ebenezer be awesome.
Old Ebby.
Hey, well, yeah, like, oh, what's your real name? Ebenezer. So on my dad's side, my Aunt Susie has traced it back to like the 1200s.
Yeah. See, that's awesome.
Yeah. But she does that. Like, that's her thing.
Yeah. And that's what she did. She just spent a bunch of time doing it. And I'm glad she did. It's really cool.
She's like, oh, we're related to like Norwegian royalty. And I was like, well, you can't fucking tell today.
Yeah, I know,
like,
right?
No one gives a shit.
Well, our, like way back, we were related to Antoine de Cadillac, who founded Detroit, who the Cadillac was named after.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I was like, damn, I need a free Cadillac, man.
You need to name your kid Antoine here, or De Cadillac. You need to name your kid Cadillac.
Getting some royalties or something. Fuck.
Like, I always love those emails that you get, like, oh, we've been trying to find you for 7 years. You're the inheritance to the only African fortune from this Nigerian prince, right?
I need you to wire us $100 so we can wire you 7,000
or 7 million, like, whatever it is, right? So those are my funny. Favorite.
Have you watched? What was I doing? Oh no, it was on a podcast. It was a podcast with have you ever seen Lex Friedman's podcast?
No.
He had what was the guy's name? He had one of the guys that was like one of the like most well-known guy for like online scams, and he
would do them.
Yeah, he like was like an originator of online scams, and it was just interesting hearing him talk about it. Oh, I don't know about that. This guy was not from around here, but it was interesting listening to him talk about how they would do them and all this shit, because he's like he's straight now. You know what I mean? He'd been
Probably
in
work for
jail.
the FBI now. He's probably
I think he did
consultant.
say he's doing something like that, but he did go to like jail and all this shit. But yeah, it was interesting hearing like the things.
Who was
do.
the
He said
cat-
little old ladies. He's like those are the easiest.
Little wasn't there a movie with Matt Damon and it was about Decatur? He worked for ADM and it was like The Informant. It wasn't called The Informant. What was that one? But he was like super smart and ADM got in trouble for like price fixing of aspartame.
It sounds familiar.
But he got in trouble for doing the envelope scam where like you mail $10 but you got like $100 back. Is it called The Informant? Yeah. So but that was about the
I
guy.
don't remember that one.
That guy was
I feel like I saw it though.
You probably did, and like I felt like that was the original start, right? Like, hey, I just got a letter in the mail, and if I mail out $10, I'll get back $100, right? And this guy
Sounds
made
perfect.
or check scams. He made like
It's like that social media trend. What was it where you're like, all right, I'm gonna give you 20. It was. It's like something weird.
people watch that and be like, oh, I made money.
Yeah.
No, you lost money, bro.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It's like,
like-
what the hell's happening?
No, you just got ganked.
Yeah, that shit's funny. The how about books? You been read any good books lately?
I do.
know you've been into books.
I'm a big book guy, so I read. I've listened to.
I've been slacking. I've been slacking. on them.
My favorite, and I'll actually pull it up. My favorite one was The Art of Negotiation. Let me see if I can pull it up on my Audible.
Brett Johnson was the guy's name.
Is that who it was?
That was the cyber criminal.
Oh, on Lex Friedman's. Yeah, Brett Johnson.
The one
Gotta
like
get Ryan a microphone over here. He can chime in.
He's awesome. It's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yeah.
And he was a.
I have that one downloaded. I haven't listened to it
Oh
yet.
man, so I'll read. It takes me a long time to read a book, but I'll read usually about one a month. I'll read, but I try to listen to a book a week. And the one that's made the biggest impact on me in the last 12 months was like Never Split the Difference by this guy, and
Yeah.
he just talked about. And I've really used it to my advantage when I talk to referral partners, because in our industry, and I don't know how it works for you for advertising, but for us, we'll have referral partners come to us and be like, "Hey, I need $10,000, or I need $10,000 over 12 months. That way, we'll send you leads, right?" And it's not a brand; it's a branding opportunity. Like we're gonna co-brand with you, and I'm like, "Yeah," I was like, "I really can't do that," and they're like, well, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I was really thinking like." $400, right? And the guy's like, by the time you're all said and done, you're going to get what you want, and the other person is going to feel like they gave you what, like they were okay with the deal too. But what I learned the most about it is just the psychology of how people think when they're asking for things.
Right.
And I was like, man, because when you're getting someone asks for something, once immediately you're like, no, you can't have my stuff. That's mine.
Yeah.
Right. And like how to really figure out what the real root of the cause is behind why they're asking what they're asking. And I really try to apply that to everyday practices, not only with employees and customers, but referral partners, and even when I'm just out and about talking to people. I'm a kind of a talker, right? Get enough beers in me, I'm going to keep running my mouth. So
Get a couple more beers in here.
yeah, I've really tried to tone that back and just listen more, right? So
Yeah, I'm definitely I think people sometimes get freaked out because I'll like sit and listen.
you're just taking it in.
I'm not saying anything or whatever, but I just like listening, man. It's like seeing what they want to have to say. Like, I was going to tell you, Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Have you done that one?
Yeah. So if you went through my Audible,
Think Again.
like this is my Audible since the first of the year.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
So
I've been falling off on. I was doing really good at listening to them just on my drives home, but I've gotten stuck on podcasts, so I've like been listening to podcasts more. But this book, Think Again by Adam Grant. I don't know. I really liked something about it. It was interesting.
you know what made the biggest impact on me last year was Green Lights by
What's that one about?
By oh, hang on. It's the actor guy that everybody thought was hot, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, is that his big book he came out with?
Came
or
with,
whatever?
and like it was a dumb. Like I don't want to say it was dumb because it had good content, but just the way he read it versus how you would read it in your own voice.
You like listening to Matthew McConaughey read a book to you?
He would read it differently than how because I read the book.
Dude, some books I can't listen to.
Yeah,
Like Start With Why. I've been listening to
Simon
that.
Sinek.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck. fuck, I've restarted it like 6 times, and I'm just like, God damn it, I can't get through this, man. This guy needs to have somebody else read this.
Yeah, so another one that I listen to a lot, another guy I like listening to, it's called Bottom of the Pool by Andy Andrews, and I like Andy Andrews.
I think I added that one. I think you told me that one time.
Yeah,
I think I
so
added it.
like learning how to play at a level that the competition doesn't even know a game's being played at, and they talk about this stupid game called the Dolphin Game and changing the way people think inside your industry.
Yeah, Bottom of the Pool, there it is.
Yeah, and
I think that one,
He-
and I think you might have suggested.
I struggle listening to that guy.
What was the other one you suggested? My wife like shares mine, so there's all this weird shit in here I don't want to say.
Oh,
in
no.
case it's one.
No. Like,
So
here,
like-
hang on. So I can, like May Cause Miracles, Happy Days,
Yeah.
Super Attractor by Gabriel Bernstein, right? Like, the Blood Sugar Solution, 10-Day Detox Diet. These are not mine. These
Good to
are-
Great was good. That was what I listened to. That was a
Yeah,
good one.
Glucose Revolution.
Jesus.
Some of the 6 Pillars of Intimacy. I definitely did download that one.
What are those pillars? Some breakdown.
Oh, another one you should try too. It's called "It's Your Ship." Talks about how the guy was a naval captain, and he basically took a ship that was like performing at the bottom and turned it into the. It basically talks about how to hold people accountable. Like, how can you have a accountable conversation without it being contentious?
Yeah.
And that's something
interesting.
I struggle with too. Like, hey, you're not doing your job, because I'm super nice and I
Yeah.
do a lot for people. Hey, I'm super nice. Like, hey, you're not doing your job. Hey, you're not doing your job. Hey, you're not doing your job. Yo, what the fuck is going on? You need to get your job done.
Yeah.
And then that's all people remember is that right there.
Right.
They don't remember that, oh, you bought us lunch and you give us a spa day and you take us on trips. No, they just remember that literally the last 4
Right.
words that I just said. And that's
most
how they
negative
get you.
thing or
Yeah,
whatever.
every time.
So what's the book talk about? What's the gist of it?
How to have the accountability without getting to that point, right? To hold people accountable to the process. At least that's what my takeaway from it was, is like, hey, you told me you would do this and you didn't do this, so here's the consequence of that.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. I appreciate that book more because I struggle with that, because I'm like, because coaching too, because I coached basketball for a long time. Like, how do I go, like, hey, you're not doing what I asked, you're not doing what I asked, doing what I asked, and I'm like, usually it's about that 3rd or 4th time where I'm like losing my shit because you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
And there's ways to not get to that point and still hold people accountable to the process. And I don't know how you are. You're an employer too. Like, you get that. Like,
Right. I
you're
totally get what you're saying.
not doing your job. Like, hey, you're not doing your
Ready
job.
to listen to it. See, take that away.
So that was my takeaway from it, because with a system, and we've talked about this, like, we're circling back, but with systems and processes that people have to follow, people obviously don't like to hear criticism, but like, no, I told you the system and process, and here's where it's at. Like, you didn't follow this process, so
Yep.
this is the result of that. So now I have to oversee everything that you do.
Yeah.
Instead
You're
of like,
creating more work for me.
yeah. So I don't want to do
Fucking
this.
hate.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. I'd rather
Got
jump.
enough work.
I'd rather be on the boat or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Out gambling or doing something fun, but instead I have to make sure you're doing your job correctly.
Yeah, it's stressful, man.
But if you just
Which leads me to something that I forgot to ask at the beginning. I always do. Hardest part of being a business owner, small business owner. I usually ask at the beginning and then
Hardest
try to
part
keep
of-
people engaged. And I
hardest
just
part of being
forget
a small
every
business
time.
owner. I would like spending my money. like that's that costs how much? Do I have to do that?
Yeah.
Like, is that necessary? Like, yeah, I'd probably say that the commitment. It's definitely like we start at 0 on February 1st, right? February 1st comes around, I'm back at 0, but I've already spent X amount of dollars.
Right.
So I'm like, well, let's get back to the grind, right? So, but I love what I do. So, but that hardest part though is the commitment of knowing that you're spending your own money without the possibility of return. Mm-hmm. And we go through that. Like, you're a perfect example. You bought this building. Did you think it would pay off?
Right.
You knew it'd pay off. You knew.
Right, but it's hard to do it.
Yeah. So
It's just like right now, like we're hiring also, and it's like we don't actually necessarily need the people right now, but I'm like have to be ready. You know what
So
I mean? It's like
we-
investing, and I also told my team, I'm like, I want to make 2 to 3 posts a day. Like that's what I want to do as a company. Like that's the point I want to get to. And we're not. I knew we weren't going to do it unless we got more people. So
we talk about that all the time. Is that I don't care what anybody says, and I'll argue with any economist, PhD in finance, whatever. We're going into a recession.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You have triple-digit inflation almost. We have wages that haven't moved in the last 24 months, even though we're trying to force wages to legislate to move, right? But it's not changing the people who buy stuff. So things are getting more expensive. People are going to have less disposable income. We're going into a recession, and I'm doubling down. I'm going. Instead of I could have easily took my marketing budget last year that was a healthy part of my salary. And I could have said, well, I'm going to spend less this year because I know we're going into that and keep more of my money. Instead, I said, we're tripling our budget. And because I know that we can come out on the other side of this in a position where not only do I get to make a little bit of money, but I can help a bunch of other people make money too. So how do you, the hardest part of being a business owner too is not knowing what you don't know, right? Like the law of the lid, or what John Maxwell says is you don't know what you don't know, but you don't know until you do know. When you do know, you don't know if you don't know if it'll work. He goes on this whole tirade on one of his podcasts, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
But you just don't know what you don't know, and until you do know, you don't. And that's probably my biggest hang up is, if I spend this amount of money, will this result in return? Like, we have an investment into some stuff that I probably would have done differently with advertising. We did some digital marketing with the geofencing, and it has yielded zero results.
They make it sound fancy, huh?
It's. I knew it wasn't, but I thought I'd try it.
We hear that shit all the time. They're like, "Oh, they told me it's going to do this and target
No,
here and this and that."
The other thing
And I'm
too
like,
is-
"All right, well, let me see let me see this." Like, I have them pull the shit up, and then I just break the whole thing down. They're like, "Oh, well, I didn't know to ask them that." I'm like, "It's because they fucking make it sound like the fanciest shit ever, and then it's like there's like all these holes in it."
Yeah. Mine was more for brand awareness. Like, I knew that if I could capture a realtor, like, hey, if I could, my idea is that if realtors pull up all this, like, if they're on, I don't know, they're on TikTok, like, if they're on TikTok, which I want to talk to you about Snapchat advertising because it's ridiculously cheap right now.
Yep.
And it's going to get real expensive.
And Twitter.
But my idea is that if this realtor is like scrolling on this article that they clicked on Facebook, and if they can just see I just see the Capital Mortgage team, that's another touch for me,
it's
right?
Facebook ad network.
Yeah, so that's what my idea behind the digital marketing with geofencing was. But what I've learned is that it's just, it doesn't provide what they like. It was the
And it just depends on how they're doing it, like what it is. Because
yeah.
geofencing obviously is good.
Yeah, if you
But
can
it's
get
got to be like sometimes people are just fucking selling you a bag of shit with a bow on it. You know what I mean?
Well, how many times? So in our industry, right? If you were to go get a mortgage today, would you walk into the bank and go, "Hey, I need a mortgage"?
Probably not.
Right. How would you do that?
Probably thinking about who you know, or you know what I mean. Or
Okay, say you didn't know anybody in the industry. How would you search for it?
probably fucking Google, I guess. Yeah.
Just click, right? So geofencing is designed to figure out where your customers are going. What if your customers never leave their damn house?
Yeah.
Well, who are you geofencing then?
Right.
Right. So, and
yeah, it obviously depends on the customer for
Right,
sure, and
so-
your target audience.
so 60% of mortgages are now are more than that. Sorry, it's like 78% of mortgages applications are done strictly online now. You if you're walking in a bank to get a mortgage, it's antiquated.
Yeah.
Because and not that I don't mind people coming to my office and having this conversation and sitting down across from someone, but I remember my experience that I talked about when we first started talking is I sat across from that guy and that guy was like, "No," and you're like,
I dealt with that when I was buying this building.
I feel like a worthless piece of crap now.
People basically didn't think I was a.
They didn't believe in you.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I had the building, and fucking banks want to meet with me and take me out
Yeah.
to lunch and do all this shit, and they want my business.
You
and
ever heard
I'm
the
just like, bitch, you weren't giving me no fucking loan. You wouldn't even talk to me when I wanted. You know what I mean?
You have no idea how pumped I am to open up an office in my hometown.
Yeah.
Right. I go back home and not everybody's nice to me.
Yeah.
And not when I was some rugrat running around
Right.
as a kid.
Oh, you really changed, man.
Yeah. No.
bootstrapped it.
No, I'm the same person. You're just a dick. But it's a good feeling. But that's our industry. How do we stay relevant and stay local and also attract business and be available to people of all markets, but also understanding that Gen Z or the people from 18 to 25 are going to have more buying power than the baby boomers had. And the greatest, so how do we stay relevant? And I think about things like that, and I don't think your average loan officer thinks that way.
Right.
They're just like, how do I get more referral partners, or how do I generate more business, or they're not thinking of how do I break down this Gen Z generation or whatever the term is for them now. I think they have a different term, and go, hey, 10 years from now, they're going to come to me to get a home loan.
Right.
So, and
thinking long term.
Yeah, and then at short term too. I think short term, because that's how it generates, pays the bills, keeps your lights on. But
Gotta be
biggest struggle
for the future, for sure.
You need to deal with that all the time. Like, I can't think. I have to think 90 days from now, but we also have to think 6 years from now. Yeah. So, and how do I put someone like a Garrett Dooley, who's a loan officer on our team, in a position to build his own team wherever he ends up, right? Mm-hmm. How do I put Jared Sanders, who's on our team in Murfreesboro, in a position to build his own team and lack of a better term, glow up, right? So that's kind of what I struggle with mentally and financially on a regular basis as a small business owner. So because I know you probably go through it too. Like, how do you you wake up every day and you're like, how do I make sure that the people that work for me still have food to eat in 6 months?
Yep.
So
it's it's a tough thing, and you hope that they recognize the risk that you take with that and the cost that goes into it, and what you do. I mean, it's.
I told
some people do, some people don't, and I think the ones that do and the ones that stick around and the ones that really put in the work are the ones that you want to.
I told our processor what our marketing budget was. And I was like, it's more than you make in a year. So and here's the deal. That's my money. Mm-hmm. That's not money that Flat gave me. That's not money that just magically showed up. That's money. That's me going, hey, I did a home loan, so I'm going to dedicate a certain percentage of this dollar amount that I could put in my kid's mouth or my kid's education fund or future, and I put that in a marketing budget to make sure that you can make your bonus next month.
Yep.
And she, her face was just like, what? Yeah. That's what it's like being a small business owner, right? Like, I could easily take that, whatever dollar amount that is, and put it in an IRA or an investment account, and in 20 years...
Fuck everybody, I'm just keeping it all.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would make...
I just like to keep some of the taxes I paid.
Yeah, I know, right? Fuck. Well, it was good chatting, man.
Yeah, I know we've been all over the place. We didn't really talk a whole lot about our industry, but...
I think we did. I think we hit on it. Yeah. Full circle.
I think that
Fred with Capital Mortgage Team over here. If you need a home loan, do you guys do commercial?
We don't do any commercial.
I didn't think so.
No, I want to stay.
I feel like I asked you about that.
You did, and I don't want to get into the commercial market because it's highly unregulated, and it's going to be the next regulated industry.
No.
So especially with all this commercial space that's coming available and people being foreclosed on because they can't keep their doors open.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. It was great chatting. What's the best way for people to check you out? Facebook? Website?
SaveWithFred.com, right? So,
Save with Fred.
Yeah.
Makes it easy.
Capital Mortgage Team, right? I used to have, I thought about different names, and I was like, Save with Fred.
Yeah.
Best ring, right? It's going to put you through a click funnel. So it'll punch in your name, email, and address in order for me to communicate with you.
Get that lead.
But that's the sole purpose.
Yeah. Got to get the information to reach out. Fred's going to bust his ass to get you
a home loan.
That home loan.
Yeah. Is that your radio voice?
This is my radio voice. No. Appreciate it, Fred. And
thanks for having me, man.
We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, I want you to teach me how to do this.
And bring me some cold beer.
I'll bring you cold beer next time.
Thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. See you.